March is a big month for us in the Weather Center. A few notable astronomical milestones. Meteorological spring begins on the 1st. We gain a lot of sunlight. We reach the vernal equinox, and our clocks will spring forward into daylight saving time. Our First Alert Weather team dives into all of those in this edition of Shelter from the Storm.
For months, you've gone to work and drove home in the dark. Now is the time to turn that around. We'll add more than 85 minutes of daylight in March. All that has to do with Earth's tilt. Right now, our planet is tilted on a 23.5 degree axis. Think of a ladder leaned up against the wall, about that much. In the winter, our portion of the Earth tilts away from the sun, so we are colder and darker. In the summer, our section tilts toward the sun, making it warmer and lighter. The times when the sunlight is directly overhead or furthest away are called solstices. In the summer, sunlight reaches the Tropic of Cancer. In winter, it reaches the Tropic of Capricorn. Equinoxes indicate when direct sunlight moves north or south of the equator. This year, our spring or vernal equinox begins at 9:46 a.m. Friday, March 20th. The direct sunlight moves north of the equator. We start the month with an average high of 39 degrees, add a bit more daylight every day and about a degree every other day, and by the end of the month, our average high is at 54 degrees. Now about springing forward. Efforts to preserve daylight can be dated back to ancient civilizations, adjusting their schedules to match the amount of sunshine. The first modern daylight saving time idea came from New Zealand entomologist George Hudson. He proposed a 2-hour daylight shift in 1895 to give himself more time after his work to collect insects. The United States first implemented daylight saving time was the Standard Time Act of 1918. This was a measure meant to preserve energy resources during World War I. It lasted only 7 months, with the next implementation occurring during World War II. A common misconception is that farmers wanted the changes. Quite the opposite, in fact. Farmers lobbied against the changes. Grain farmers can't start work until the sun comes up and dries the dew. Dairy farmers must milk their cows about the same time each day. Changing the clocks disrupts a farmer's work and stresses the livestock. At the end of World War II, states and local jurisdictions could choose to go back to Standard Time or stay in DST. It wasn't until 1966 that the Uniform Time Act was signed into law to standardize when and where daylight saving time was observed across the country. President Richard Nixon signed a permanent DST change in January 1974, but by October, President Gerald Ford repealed it. There is a bill currently sitting in Congress called the Sunshine Protection Act of 2025 that would permanently put us in DST. It's still sitting in committee as of this segment. For now, we change the clocks in March and November, spring forward and fall back. We're able to enjoy later sunsets in the summer and some sunlight on winter mornings. Whenever you adjust your clocks, it's also a great time to change the batteries in your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And it's always a great time to download the WIFR First Alert Weather app to stay up to date on the latest forecast.
We spring our clocks forward this year at 2 a.m. Sunday, March 8th. You'll lose an hour of sleep. Here's an interesting stat. The Monday after daylight savings time brings a 24% increase in the number of heart attacks. The American Heart Association recommends you get outside, soak up the natural light, wind down earlier in the evening, and don't compensate with extra caffeine.